Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, I like to discuss the rumours and speculation surrounding an attempted move by Braverman to potentially put herself on the front foot by resigning in protest at the government's failures over immigration later this week. I'll discuss why some people think she may be planning this, what the logic would be, but also what risks Braverman would be taking with this action. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel. So, I'm afraid this may be our entertainment for the week. And do you know what? Braverman, regardless of this, is due in Parliament. By the time this video comes out, she'll have actually had to take questions from MPs in Parliament. I can't talk about that here because I've had to record it before. But, you know, we may have imagined a few weeks ago that if there was going to be a single Tory MP needing to be discussed on an almost daily basis, it would be Boris Johnson and related to his Privileges Committee inquiry, not Suella Braverman and her Game of Thrones. But here we are. This may well ramp up over the course of the week, and indeed there are people who think it will. So first of all, I said yesterday that there were reasonable grounds to suppose that Sunak could use the Braverman speeding scandal in order to shorten her leash. You know, I even suggested that he might be behind it. Of course, it's also possible that it's an ally of Sunak behind it, or just, you know, the Prime Minister himself may have genuinely known nothing. The leak could have come from a civil servant who's just sick of Braverman always slagging off the civil service in the press. Because that's what people have pointed out. The thing about slagging the civil service off is the civil servants know things about you. Suella Braverman's got no shortage of political enemies. But now some think that what if she intends to protest, like resign in protest, as a way of setting herself up to replace Sunak? Now, the basis for this speculation, it's on another story which emerged yesterday. There's been so much coming out. I mean, one of the things that came out regarding the speeding fine, by the way, was the fact that she was approached by the media, or her office was approached by the media, who asked about it because they'd got word of it, and they denied it. So Braverman's spokesperson has actually, which by extension means she, has actually denied even having it. So she's at the very least lied to the press about it. But there was something else that came out. And this could only have come out from Tory MPs, specifically the whip. So this had to be Sunak's team. And it appears that Braverman tried to avoid voting for her own small boats bill at the third reading. Now, according to the reports, Braverman continually tried to come up with excuses to get out of it. She didn't want to vote for it. And you think, why wouldn't she want to vote for her own bill? Especially as it's related to her hobby horse of asylum. Well, the way some are thinking is that she wants to distance herself from the government's efforts on asylum and immigration, even though she's the Home Secretary, because it's not working. Well, of course it's not working. They are deliberately doing the opposite of what would work. What deals with an asylum backlog? Processing claims. They stopped. We were processing claims. There was no issue with an asylum backlog. The Tories stopped processing them. Now there's a massive backlog. I've spoken about this before. The Tories' brainless policies, they can work in opposition because then they're not put to the test. They can make things sound good, like Reform UK are doing. You know what I mean? They can sound good because it's never going to be put to the test. But it doesn't work when you're in government. Because it's like, okay, if you say that's a good idea, implement it then. Oh, right, we will do then. All right, okay. Have you implemented it yet? Yeah, we have. Has it worked? No. Doesn't work. So for Braverman to claim that she has the answers, she may decide what she needs to do is be in opposition. Now, in the short term, that means being a rebel on the backbenches. So people are thinking, what if, when the latest immigration figures are published later this week, and everyone knows they're going to be hideous. What if Braverman uses that moment to resign, claiming that her policies have been watered down by weak cabinet colleagues, including Sunak presumably, and say that she is not being given the power to properly deal with the problems, she's just been blamed for the failures, so she may as well leave the government. Now, protest resignations can be very powerful. They can be a double-edged sword, though. In fact, they often are. It risks making you look disloyal. Now, especially at a time when party unity is already fractured and heading in towards a general election year, that has risks. Especially ironic, actually, because only last week she was arguing against fratricide on the right wing of politics. But as I said at the time, I didn't imagine she thought the instruction applied to herself. Now, in terms of how likely I think this speculation is to be accurate, there's a certain logic to it. If we work on the basis that Sunak, whether he's behind it or not, is using this speeding scandal in order to threaten Braverman with the sack if she doesn't behave, and if he's not doing that, he's an idiot. So then Braverman faces a choice. So she either winds her neck in, goes along with Sunak's policy aims, and then when they lose the election, her private concerns will be well established. She looks like she tried to be the good, loyal Home Secretary, backing the party all the way, and then she can stand for the leadership with the party members behind her. In my view, that is her best option. That would be the best thing for her to do. But there is a second option. If she's of a mind to be reckless, she could resign in protest at the government's weakness and failures this week, distance herself from the failure to come at the general election. Does have a few downsides. First, she's a disloyal MP. This not only means that some of the party membership might blame her for the chaos within the party that would follow the resignation, because Rishi Sunak is trying to claim he's on course for election win next year. He's not. We know he's not. But, some may believe it. Well, some do believe it, according to polls. And those people are likely to be Tory party members. So if they see Suella Braverman sticking the boot in, they may blame her for the election loss. But Tory MPs would certainly be less likely to show her loyalty if she became leader. After all, it's like, well, you weren't loyal to the leader, so why should we be loyal to you? Because after a general election loss and there's a leadership contest, one thing the contenders always promise to do, in any party is, I'm going to unite the party. You have to. It's like, leadership 101. Little bit tricky for a rebel to claim to do this. Now, it doesn't stop her winning the leadership contest, of course. In fact, in recent years, rebels have won leadership contests in both Labour and the Conservatives. But it does make it harder. The second drawback is that she risks further damaging revelations about her. See, Braverman is so entitled and so reckless that it is probable that some people have an awful lot of dirt on her. If she sets herself up as like an enemy of the party, well, then there's no reason for the party to keep covering for her, is there? She is already unpopular with the public. If her reputation is completely destroyed, then even approving party members may have to accept that she couldn't possibly win a general election because she's too unpopular with the public, and opt for an alternative loony candidate. The third drawback is, if Sunak was minded to show a bit of steel, he could press the nuclear button. He could stop her standing in the general election altogether. See, Braverman has already been selected as a candidate in a very safe seat in her area. The boundaries are changing in her constituency, but she's been selected for the new one. Very easy to win. But if she were no longer a Conservative MP. Now, I'm not knowledgeable about Tory party rules, but I'm guessing that her candidacy can be cancelled and an alternative candidate selected. In fact, there is a popular alternative candidate anyway. And if Sunak can arrange for a load of revelations to come out about Braverman, which would justify removing the whip, she may find herself frozen out from replacing him on either side of the general election. And I go over all of these risks that Braverman would be taking. They are risks. None of these are certain to happen. It may well be that she can do this and it works out well for her, but these are surely risks. And I would think to myself, there's no need for it. There should be no way she's planning to do this. There is a certain sort of logic to the speculation that she might. After all, she won't like being boxed in by Sunak. This gives her a way out. But the risks are enormous. And yet, at the same time, if she just plays ball, she stands a good chance of becoming the next Tory leader. If she just carries on, toes the party line for a bit longer, plays the loyal Home Secretary, everyone sort of knows what her views are really. The party know what her views are really. She can then present herself as, well, I tried my best, but they were all too weak. We need to now have some steel back in the Tory leadership. I can bring you that steel. But if she goes too early, it's a huge risk to her and she may end up with nothing. But there are a couple of other things to consider. The first is, I don't know how much support she has in the parliamentary party. If there are enough MPs who would back her in the parliamentary party, enough to block Sunak's legislation, and they were prepared to do so, then she may think, or if she just thinks they would be prepared to do so, it doesn't matter whether they would or they wouldn't, she may think that gives her leverage over Sunak. Second, I mean, it's quite clear she's not a logical person. She's not a stupid person as such, but I don't think she's a particularly logical person. And I certainly don't think she's a sharp political operator. She is stunningly unpopular with the public. This is a complete non-starter if you want to lead a government. So we know that she's not grounded in reality. She may not see that a resignation protest carries the risks that I perceive. She may have, I mean, she'll know more than me because she does know what the feeling is in the parliamentary party. She may have a number of allies in the party that are pointing out the many advantages in resigning this week. She may even be of the mind that the Tories, I think it's madness, and I think most Tory MPs think it would be madness to change leader again before the general election. She may not think that. She may think that after the local election results, that she can persuade Tory MPs that Sunak is failing badly, and maybe they would replace him with her. So, you know, she could be Prime Minister without an election. Or she might just not care and enjoy the power of bringing down a Prime Minister who doesn't seem to appreciate the talents that she thinks she has. She may actually be as insane as Liz Truss. I mean, this is certainly going to be quite an intense story this week. I genuinely hope I don't have to discuss something every day on it, but it's going to come up again. You know, lots of newspapers had the scandal on their front pages today. The stakes are rising about whether there's to be an inquiry or not. As the report about, you know, trying to get out of voting on her own bill shows, Braverman is very much a maverick. She sees herself as a law unto herself. It is entirely possible she will act rashly. And if she does resign in protest later this week, and especially if she causes trouble from the backbenches, then the quiet moves towards the more stable, if no less useless government that Sunak has tried to cultivate may well come crashing down. And final point, just to emphasise that, yes, this is, of course, all speculation. I had someone on the previous Braverman scandal video, well, this is speculation, isn't it? It's like, yeah, of course it is. I often have to mention that I have no inside knowledge on Labour's strategy. I don't get invited to their strategy meetings. So when I explain how I explain Labour's strategy in terms of how it seems to be logically applied to me. But I did think it went without saying that senior Conservative leaders definitely don't invite me to their secret skullduggery meetings. I would, after all, represent something of a security risk for them. So yes, this is speculation. It ain't half exciting. It ain't half exciting. But there we go anyway. Until the next exciting instalment. That's what I think about it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.